Hello, I'm Julian Northbrook from doingenglish.com and welcome to Doing English with Julian. How to speak English like a native speaker? It's a very good question, but in order to answer this question, first we need to think about how native speakers actually use their language. Why do native speakers sound so natural? How do they speak so fluently? How do native speakers sound so native-like? For quite a long time, the answer to these questions was actually quite a mystery to linguists. How is it that we speak so fluently? We believed that native speakers used grammar rules and added items of vocabulary to those rules to construct sentences in their brain on the fly as they were speaking. But this doesn't make any sense because working memory, the brain's RAM, is actually very, very limited. Therefore, in order for us to speak at the speed that we do, the brain would not be able to keep up. The brain wouldn't be able to compute the sentences we need to compute fast enough. Not only this, but why does a phrase like good morning sound so natural, but the equally grammatical pleasant first half of the day sounds strange? Why do we say please marry me instead of please become my spouse? Why do people say, hey Julian, your ugly face needs plastic surgery, but never plastic operation? Clearly, some of the things that we can say in English just sound more natural than others, regardless of whether those others are grammatical or not. Simply being grammatical is not enough to sound natural. Why is this? Again, for a long time, the answers to these questions confused linguists because we believed that native speakers speak with grammar rules and vocabulary attached to those rules. We now know that this is not the case, or at least not for most of the time anyway. Native speakers can use syntax, that is grammar rules and vocabulary, and create creative utterances, expressions and sentences with those. However, most of the time, native speakers are actually speaking in chunks. A chunk is a very common sequence of words that native speakers store in memory as a complete unit of language. When we speak, what we are actually doing is simply pulling these chunks out of memory and lining them up. These chunks may be several words long, meaning we can speak very fluently and very efficiently. We no longer need rules to process and compute our sentences. Rather, our sentences are either completely ready-made or only need one or two bits to create them. Not all language is a chunk, and this explains why some things sound more natural than others. Good morning is a chunk. Pleasant first half of the day is not. Plastic surgery is a chunk. Plastic operation is not. Would you marry me is a chunk. Would you be my spouse is not. What this means for you, the English learner, is this. If you are learning English in the way that it is usually taught at school, you are memorizing grammar rules and you are memorizing lists of vocabulary to combine with those rules, you're actually learning in a way that is very inefficient when it comes to speaking and understanding the language. You're learning in a way that is actually different to how native speakers speak English. Rather, a much better way to learn is by focusing on chunks. Learning chunks first and foremost and aiming to learn the language in the way that native speakers actually use it when they speak. Put simply, good chunking skills is the fast track to speaking English like a native speaker. That is, fluently and naturally, as opposed to just grammatically. How can you identify these chunks in language? What are the best chunks to learn? How do we learn these chunks? All good questions, my friend. Questions whose answers are revealed in chapter 6 of my book, Master English Fast, an uncommon guide to speaking extraordinary English. To get your hands on a copy of this bad boy and start chunking your way to fluency, just head over to masterenglishfast.com. And there we have it. That is how to speak English like a native speaker. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe to Doing English with Julian to get more videos to help you speak extraordinary English. Thank you and goodbye.